Hello everyone, and today we're going to do part 3 of how to do your science fair project. In part 3, you're going to find out that it's going to be kind of easy today because we've already done some of the work to get to today. The first thing we're going to do about today is we're going to make a prediction. So yesterday, remember, I came up with this question for myself. Does the size of the potato change how many light bulbs it will light up? And so today I'm going to make a prediction about that. I'm going to make a guess about what the answer to that is going to be. And as a scientist, we can call that prediction a hypothesis. I'm going to make a hypothesis or a prediction about what this answer is going to be. So to do that, I am going to just use just a regular Word document, just a plain regular Word document. And I'm going to just type in these things. First of all, my prediction. And I'm going to show you something. You can use these right here to make life easier. I really don't like what the heading 1 is on for this. And so instead of heading, I know this seems weird, but I'm going to use title. Now, there is a way to change all of these, and I can do that in a later video because it has nothing to do with Science Fair Project. But just for today, I'm going to use title just because I like that one better. So in my Word document, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just retype my question. Notice that when I jump to the next line, this goes back to normal, and that's what I wanted it on. Now remember, here was my question. If I move this circle out of my way, I can actually double click here and I can do Control C to copy. I'm going to put my circle back there. And I'm going to go back to my Word document. And I can actually just do Control V to paste. That was the question I came up with. Does the size of the potato change how many light bulbs it will light? I could change, I was doing it on a Post-it note in the other thing, so I could change it around now and I could make it so that it sounds better. Let's say it this way. Will different size, actually, let's word it this way. Will a larger potato light up more light bulbs than a smaller potato? That sounds better, and it actually gives me a better way to answer the question. Now I have a yes or no question. If it's larger, it will light up a light bulb, more light bulbs than a smaller one. That's my question. My prediction or my hypothesis, I'm going to go back up here and click title again. My prediction, or if we use the word that scientists use, my hypothesis. When I hit enter and jump to the next line, it should change back to normal. That's right. My prediction, I'm going to kind of just turn that question around, but I'm going to answer the question. And I don't know. I'm just going to say a larger potato will light up more light bulbs than a smaller potato. Now, I don't know the answer to this because I haven't done the experiment yet. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing that if one potato has this much electric current with it, then a bigger potato is going to have a bigger electric current. That makes sense. So that's what I'm going to guess. And notice I didn't say I think it will. I'm just saying it like this is a fact. It's not a fact yet because I haven't done the experiment and I don't know what's true, but I'm going to just say it like it's a fact. I turned this question around and I made a statement out of it. Now, I could have turned it around the other way. I could have said a larger potato will not light up more light bulbs than a smaller potato. And you say it whichever way you want to guess. This is just your guess based on what you've seen so far. What do you think is going to happen? The most important thing is I can change it right now, but once I start my experiment, I never change this hypothesis. The hypothesis, my prediction stays the same. No matter if I start seeing that the larger potatoes don't seem to be doing anything different, it doesn't matter. My prediction stays the same, and where I'm going to fix it is at the very end. I'm going to come back and basically I'm going to say, I was wrong. This is not true. A larger potato does not light up more light bulbs. Or I'm going to come back and say, hey, I was right. This is true. I can use a larger potato and light up more light bulbs. And the next thing I need to do, we're going to kind of plan out our experiment. So I'm going to use the title again. I'm going to put materials. What will I need? And remember, it should have jumped down to normal, and it did. I'm just checking it to make sure. Remember yesterday I had found this website of how to make a potato battery? I can basically use these materials that they have. I just need to think about, do I need to say something different? So I'm going to push this down some, and I'm going to do just like they did. I'm going to use bullet points, which are right here. I'm going to click the bullet points, and they say 2 potatoes. I don't want to say 2 potatoes because I want to make it clear what I need. I need a few different size potatoes. Now, it would actually be better to say I need 5 or I need 10 or whatever, but I also don't want to say something that I'm not going to do. So if I go to the store and I come back and I only have 3 and I said I was going to do 5, I don't want to have that. So I'm just going to say a few. You could come back and change this later and put exactly how many potatoes you're using. But for now, we're just going to say a few different size potatoes. They say I need a knife, so I'll probably need a knife, which means I need to at least ask parents at home, do I need help with this? Do you want me to do this by myself, or do I need help with this? They say I need 2 copper wires. Now, even though I'm going to do more than 1 potato, I can do them at different times. So I can probably still use the same 2 copper wires. But for now, I'm just going to put copper wires because if I can get more than 2, I might use more than 2. They say I need 2 pennies, which again, you're going to need a penny for each copper wire. So I'm just going to say I need some pennies. They say I need 2 galvanized nails, but again, you're going to need 1 for each copper wire. So for now, I'm just going to say galvanized nails. Now, if I was going to do every potato at the same time, if I had 5 potatoes, I would need 10 copper wires, 10 pennies, 10 galvanized nails. But I don't see why I can't do them at different times. It's just going to take longer, but that will keep me from having to have so many light bulbs too. So I think I'm going to do it this way. And it says I need a multimeter with 1 black wire probe. I'm just going to put a multimeter. And the interesting thing is it doesn't tell me that I need light bulbs, but that's because in their suggestions for other things you can do, they say in here that you can try to use, they're going to just measure the power with the multimeter. They're going to measure the voltage. Sorry, I shouldn't have said power. They're going to measure the voltage with the multimeter. And then they just suggest that you can try using the potato to power something else. So I could have actually made my question about how much voltage does a potato give off, and then I wouldn't have to have the light bulbs. And I may change that, but for now, since I made up this question the way it is, I'm going to keep it with the light bulbs. And it says here you can use LED lights, a light bulb, whatever. So I'm going to add down here that I do need light bulbs. And basically that's it. I can do the same thing that they had for materials. I hit enter. Let me show you what I did there. When I hit enter, it's ready for me to make another bullet point, but to get out of that, I just hit enter again, and it drops me down to the next line. And the last thing I want to do for today is go back to title, and I want to do the steps of my experiment. And again, this is kind of easy because yesterday, remember, I'd already kind of made out sentences about what I was going to do for an experiment. So I'm going to copy this just so I can have it to look at in my Word document too. But this was, the one in the chart was written really fast and as a really short way of saying it. I want to actually write out the steps of this experiment. So I'm going to cut and paste it just so I can see it. But that's not how I want to use it here. This time I'm going to use these number steps instead of the bullet points. And so for step 1, actually I can go back to the potato battery instructions too, and I'm going to cut and paste their instructions, not because I'm going to copy them in mine, but because I want to look at them to see how they did their experiment. So now I have both things to look at. So number 1, Now they go ahead and just get started because they're just doing one potato. But what I want to do for step number 1, because I'm using different size potatoes, I want to record the size. And yesterday I should have said in centimeters. I don't know why I said inches. Scientists usually use centimeters. So I'm going to say I'm going to record the size in centimeters and weight in ounces or in grams. Now here's the thing. If you don't have a scale that will record in grams, you're probably going to have to say in ounces here. To be more like a scientist, we should say in grams. But if you can't do that, you can't do that and just say in ounces. But I'm going to say in grams. Record the size and weight, the size in centimeters and the weight in grams for each potato. So I'm going to do that before I even start. And then step number 2, I'm going, or you know what, I'm going to say for the first potato. Because in step number 2, I'm going to say exactly what they say. I'm going to say, cut out a penny-sized hole in the first potato. For number 3, I'm going to say, strip one end of 1 copper wire. For number 4, I'm going to say, tie the stripped. For number 4, I'm going to say, tie a copper wire around a penny with the stripped end touching the copper. They didn't say that right. The stripped end should be touching the penny because the stripped end is copper. It should be touching the penny. And wrapping the wire around the penny a few times. Now I'm doing a little bit of copying from here. So in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure I credit where I got this information from of how to do the experiment. We're going to place the penny and the copper wire unit. I'm going to do it this way. We're going to place the penny copper wire in the hole of the first potato. I'm going to pierce the potato with a galvanized nail in the opposite side from the penny. And do the same thing with another similar sized potato, penny, copper wire, and galvanized nail. So they're using 2 potatoes to do it with. So what that tells me is I've got to have a few different size potatoes with 2 of each size. Because when I do this, I want to make sure I'm using potatoes that are a similar size. Then I'm going to place the 2 potatoes side by side. And I'm going to wrap the copper wire from one potato around the galvanized nail of the other potato. And then what they didn't tell me to do in the instructions, the next thing I'm going to do is use the multimeter to touch one end to each nail and record the voltage for the potato unit. Now we could stop here because I could have just made my question, does a larger potato have more voltage than a smaller potato? But to continue with the exact question I made, to answer the exact question I made, now I'm going to use more copper wire, connect, yeah, I have to use more copper wire because it's nails. Use more copper wire to connect a light bulb to the 2 nails. If the light bulb lights up, connect another light bulb. Continue to connect more light bulbs until they do not light up. And then I will record how many light bulbs I was able to connect, and they all would light up. Okay, now that's 1 potato, and I've got my size, my weight. I even recorded the voltage using a multimeter, and I'm going to record how many light bulbs I can connect and they all light up. Now I'm finished with that size of potato, but that's just 1. So now I'm going to have to go back and repeat as many times as necessary. Repeat steps 1 through 14 as many times as necessary to get data for all the different sizes of potatoes. Now, as I wrote this, I realized I said record the size and weight in gram for the first potato, for the first set of potatoes. And because there's 2 of them, I think what I really need to do is record the average size and average weight, because I've got 2 potatoes, and the best way to compare these 2 potatoes aren't going to be exactly the same size, and the best way to compare these 2 potatoes to my next 2 potatoes that are a little bigger, because they're not going to be exactly the same size, is to just get the average of these 2 potatoes in size, the average of these 2 potatoes in weight. That's going to be the best way to compare them. So now I said I can get different size potatoes and several light bulbs, check each potato to see how many lights I can connect, and the potato will still light up the bulbs. I'll record the size of the potato in inches, but change that to centimeters. I might also record the weight of each potato, and I'll record the number of light bulbs that the potato will light up. So I've said everything here, I've said in these steps. And this was kind of easy because I had kind of already done the same thing yesterday. So this was our objective for today, was to get this down: our question, our prediction or hypothesis, the materials that we're going to need, and write out all the steps to the experiment. Now, remember that I actually copied a lot of these steps. So at the bottom, your teacher may want you to do this in different ways, but at the bottom, I'm just going to say source for basic potato demonstration. And I'm just going to paste in the address for that. So your teacher may have different ways that they want you to do to show where you got your source, but this is saying I'm not pretending that I made up all these steps. I changed these steps to fit my question so that I could answer my question. But this website right here, they are the people who came up with these steps, and I'm going to give them credit for it. And that's what we have to do, especially because a lot of these steps I pretty much copied word for word from their site to do their demonstration, but I changed it to fit my question. And again, your teacher may have a different way they want to do it, but at least if you have this address, you can always go back and do the source however they want you to do the source. But right here, I'm showing I do not intend to claim that this is all my idea. I copied some of this from somewhere. I just changed it to make it fit my idea. So that's all we needed to do for today: a question, a prediction, materials, and an experiment. And I hope you have fun with it, and see me tomorrow when we start talking about how we're going to actually collect data.